All right, let's talk. You've done the really hard work, right? You've battled with the data, you've run the analysis, and you've found something interesting. But here's the thing. What if all that effort gets lost just because of how it looks on the page? That's what we're going to fix today. Because great work deserves a great presentation. Let's make sure your findings really shine. So, take a look at this. On the left, that probably looks familiar. It's that raw, messy output straight from a program like STATA or R. Frankly, it's a mess. It's hard to read. Now look to the right. That is what professional work looks like. It's clean, it's clear, and it immediately tells your reader that you know what you're doing. The truth is, if you turn in what's on the left, it completely undermines all your brilliant analysis. This isn't just about looking pretty, it's about clarity and credibility.
So here's our game plan for this session. We'll kick things off with why this matters so much. Then we're going to get super practical and build professional tables and graphs. We'll get into the weeds of reporting p-values perfectly, touch on some of those finer details, and then wrap it all up with 2 golden rules you'll never forget. Think of this as the playbook for going from analyst to author.
Okay, first up, professional tables. This is so foundational. Your tables are where your most important numbers live, so making them easy to read isn't just nice, it's absolutely essential. So let's break down the anatomy of a perfect table.
The great news is there's a simple formula for this. First, every table needs a number and a clear descriptive title. Step 2, and this is a big one, use horizontal lines only. That's it. One at the top, one at the bottom, and one under your main headers. No vertical lines, ever. Third, keep your alignment consistent, especially for numbers. They should always be aligned by the decimal point. Fourth, add a note at the bottom to explain things like abbreviations or what those little asterisks mean. And finally, the most satisfying step, remove all the clutter. Get rid of those default grid lines. Simplicity is your best friend here.
All right, let's move on to graphs. A good graph can tell a story way faster than a block of text. And while statistical software is amazing, its default settings are, well, their starting point. They're not the final product. Your job is to add that scholarly touch to make them ready for prime time.
The number one rule for any graph, it has to make sense all by itself. Your readers shouldn't have to go digging through your paper to figure out what they're looking at. That means you need full, accurate labels for everything. The title, the x-axis, the y-axis. It has to be crystal clear what your independent and dependent variables are. And please, style it. Change the default fonts. Get rid of those ugly gray backgrounds. Never ever just copy and paste the default graph. You have to refine it.
Okay, let's talk about something that trips a lot of people up. P-values. These little numbers are the language of statistical significance, and getting them right is a huge signal of your professionalism. But I promise, the rules aren't as scary as they seem. So let me just ask you, when your analysis spits out a p-value, what do you actually do with it? How do you take that number and put it into your report in a way that everyone in your field will understand?
A lot of the time, the answer is with these little stars. This is a universal shorthand in research papers. You've probably seen them. 1 star usually means p is less than 0.05, 2 stars for less than 0.01, and 3 for less than 0.001. Using them in your tables is great because it lets a reader scan your results and instantly see what's statistically significant.
But beyond the asterisks, there are some very specific formatting rules you just have to know. First, the letter P itself is always italicized. When you're writing it in your text, report the exact value, usually to 2 or 3 decimal places. Now here's a key one. If your program says P equals 0.000, you never write that. You write P less than 0.001. It's not actually 0, it's just really, really small. And finally, notice there's no 0 before the decimal point. It's 0.031, not 0.031. Getting these little details right makes a huge difference. This leads us to another subtle but super important idea, precision. You know, it's kind of tempting to just copy and paste every single digit the computer gives you, but sometimes showing too much detail is actually misleading.
The technical term for this is false precision. Basically, it's when you present numbers that look way more exact than your data can actually justify. Being a professional means being accurate, for sure, but not being misleadingly specific. So, for instance, your software might give you a number like this, 12.5612. If you report all of that, you're implying a level of accuracy that's almost impossible to achieve, especially in the social sciences. It's just not realistic.
So what's the solution? Simple. Rounding. A really good rule of thumb is to report your estimates to no more than 2 or 3 decimal places. And of course, that means following the basic rounding rules we all learned. If the next digit is 4 or less, you round down. If it's 5 or more, you round up. This keeps you accurate without falling into that false precision trap. Okay, so we have covered a ton of specific rules for tables and graphs and numbers, but I want to leave you with two big ideas, two guiding principles that should really steer every decision you make when you present your work. Let's call them the two golden rules. Golden rule number 1 is this: above all else, show the data. What this really means is that your job is to give the reader everything they need to understand your findings, but nothing more. Be transparent. Don't hide important details, but don't bury your reader in unnecessary information either.
And golden rule number 2, which is my personal favorite, maximize the data-to-ink ratio. This is brilliant. It means that every single drop of ink on that page or every pixel on that screen should have a purpose. It should be communicating data. This is your license to kill all the clutter, the 3D effects, the goofy decorative borders, the busy backgrounds. Just let your data speak for itself.
You know, by mastering these ideas, you've made a really important shift. You're not just an analyst anymore, just crunching the numbers. You're an author. You're a communicator. You now have the skills to present your work with the confidence and professionalism that it truly deserves.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. You've got the toolkit now. You know how to make your data speak clearly, and you know how to make it speak powerfully. The only question left is, what incredible story are your numbers going to tell?